We are here at Costco to uncover the top foods for people over 40. Now, there's plenty of good foods that people over 40 should eat, but we're here to pick out some specific things. We want to look at foods that are high in vitamin D, foods that are high in collagen, specific kinds of protein. So we're going to go into Costco, we're going to see what they have right now that might just be perfect for someone that's over the age of 40. So let's head on in, and we'll make this quick and dirty so that we can just find what we need, you can get the goods, and then you can head to the store and get what you need to live your best life. Let's rock. First place I'm going to go to is the supplement section. I want to see what kind of collagen they have. I want to see what kind of supplements they have that might be good for people over 40. I promise we won't spend a lot of time here because this is supposed to be focused on food. So let's just see what they've got that might be perfect. And I'll explain why too. I'm not just going to say get something or suggest something without giving you the biochemistry why. That's how this channel works. So let's see what we've got. Well, here's some good finds. Coenzyme Q10, that's a good price for Coenzyme Q10. We have $13.49 for the regular Coenzyme Q10, and then we have the ubiquinol. Now let me explain really quick the difference here. So you see, they talk about CoQ10 and ubiquinol being good for the heart, and it is certainly good for the heart, but it's a lot bigger than that. You see, it's about energy. See, Coenzyme Q10 helps you manufacture energy. It helps what is called the mitochondria, the portion of the cell that manufactures energy. It helps it receive electrons so that it can actually produce energy. So Coenzyme Q10 is like a big catcher's mitt for energy. It's like a big catcher's mitt for the electrons. And if you don't have enough coenzyme Q10, then you don't get enough of those electrons to create energy. So coenzyme Q10 helps make that catcher's mitt a little bit larger. So if you're someone over the age of 40 or you have kids and you're under 40, then you know energy is precious. So coenzyme Q10, this price for $13.49 for this True Nature brand is pretty darn good. So as far as supplements are concerned, I think ubiquinol is powerful too because it's a precursor and it helps with coenzyme Q10 in terms of how that works overall. But bang for the buck, you can get the coenzyme Q10. One more thing I just want to point out here, and then we'll skip ahead and get out of this area. Costco has this krill oil, which right now in December expires on the 24th, but still, either way, $22.99 normally minus $5. So right now, $17.99 for omega-3 krill oil, 160 soft gels, plus astaxanthin. Let me explain why that's so important. If you watch my videos, you already know, but I'm gonna make it real quick. Omega-3 is obviously very, very powerful. But when you look at krill oil, it's so small and so far down the food chain, you end up getting a very good overall ratio of what is called DHA to EPA. So a better ratio in terms of the omega-3s you actually want within the body. But better yet, it's a small animal, which means it has a short lifespan, also has an exoskeleton, so it doesn't absorb a lot of the mercury and things like that that's in the ocean. So that's phenomenal. We want that. But additionally, the astaxanthin, which is the pink pigment, that's an antioxidant that protects the fish oil. So krill oil naturally comes equipped with the astaxanthin to make it so that the fat that you're getting from the krill oil stays healthy in your body. It's exactly what we want. So that's a really good deal for that Kirkland Signature brand. So anyhow, let's move along. I didn't see any of the collagen or anything, which we'll touch on if we can find it. If you guys want me to do a special video dedicated just to the vitamin section, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Obviously, I'm well versed in this area. So if there's certain things you want me to cover in this world, then I'm happy to do it. So comment down below in the comment section if you want me to do a Costco vitamin series. By the way, I went ahead and I put a link down below for Sun Warrior. Sun Warrior is a pea and hemp protein, so that way you're getting a plant-based protein powder, but the reason that I mention that is because then you're actually getting the fibers that break down too. Anyway, there is a special link so you can save 15% off what is called Warrior Blend. So Warrior Blend is my go-to protein powder when it comes down to a plant-based protein powder. So check them out, Sun Warrior down below, 15% off if you use that link down below. I know you're probably using a protein powder anyway, so you might as well use this one since they support the channel and you get a little bit of a price break. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here at the oatmeal section just to clear something up. A lot of times you'll hear, oh, as you get older, you need to make sure that you're getting soluble fiber in and make sure that you're getting your grains in to do so. Here's the issue with that. The soluble fiber, sure, we get that out of oatmeal, but it comes along with so many other grains and things that can cause serious bowel issues, to be completely frank. So when it comes down to the kinds of issues that you face with your digestive system, you're better off to go with something like flax or something like chia, which we can point out. So I just wanted to mention that you don't need to lean on oatmeal just because you're over the age of 40. So keep that in mind. I'm a big fan of soluble fiber in general. I just think that we can get it through better sources than things that are heavy carbohydrate sources. I'm not even gonna try to make this video specific to keto. I just feel like there's things that need to be known. Like, you can get soluble fiber from all kinds of things. Like I said, from chia, some from flax, anything that's going to give you that gelatinous kind of effect. So if you put chia seeds in water, it turns into a gel, right? Well, that's soluble fiber at its very finest, and that's what it does inside your colon to help you, well, move things along. One of the things that you need to remember, if you're over the age of 40, the mitochondria changes, but also muscle protein synthesis tends to change. Now, there's some arguments as far as the research that's out there that shows that it doesn't really change from the time you're 20 to the time you're 40. However, there's also studies that demonstrate that sarcopenia kicks in. So that's the age-related muscle wasting. And it's a result of what is called mitochondrial dysfunction. Okay, it's when your mitochondria isn't processing energy as well, therefore it ends up not processing muscle metabolism and building muscle as well either. So yes, you do need to consume a little bit more protein, but what kind of protein? Well, while we are here in the tuna aisle and in the canned fish aisle, let's point out some very particular things that would be perfect if you're over 40. So here we have sardines. So this is the seasoned brand, okay, and this is sardines in olive oil. Normally, I suggest getting sardines in water, and I'll explain why in just a second, but it looks like they might be limited to only having the sardines in olive oil right now. So let's just talk about the sardines for a second, and then we'll come back to the oil water discussion in just 1 second. Relatively new study in the European Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that vitamin D directly has a correlation with the metabolism. They found that for every 10 nanomoles per liter of vitamin D that was lower, there was a less result in resting metabolic rate. So what that means is for every 10 nanomoles per liter that a person was low in vitamin D, there was a 13 calorie per day difference in their metabolic rate. So that means just a 10-point change on your vitamin D can have an effect of burning 13 calories. So 20 would be 26. 30, you can see them start doing the math, right? So it slows down your metabolism to be deficient in vitamin D. Well, it turns out you get vitamin D from the sun, but you also get it from really good quality fish. And you want to get sardines that are typically going to have the skin or at least have some of the bone. And the reason behind that is simply because it's a higher amount of vitamin D. Now you do get some, like in this case, let me show you, I'll flip it around and show you. These are skinless and boneless, so you're just getting the meat, which is still tremendous for omega-3s. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just about the best natural source of omega-3 you can get. It's a little bit of a bummer they don't have the skin or the bone. That's really what you want for the vitamin D. You're still going to get some here. Now, on to the oil situation. Why do I typically want them in water? Normally, the quality of oil that they use with sardines and things like that, usually soybean, cottonseed, some kind of cruddy oil, and it's going to completely cancel out the effect of the really good fats that you're getting from the sardines. In this case, they're using high quality olive oil. Now, I'm good with olive oil if you're over 40 because olive oil has some huge effects, again, on the mitochondria, but it also has some tremendous effects on uncoupling proteins and helping your body elevate its core body temperature. If you're over the age of 40, your metabolism is starting to slow down naturally. Not as much as the mainstream media makes you think, but it slows down enough that you want to be doing things that you can to accelerate it. So vitamin D can do that by heightening your muscle mass. It can also boost your metabolism directly. But then we look at things like the olive oil that have an effect on how your body uses heat. So olive oil will make it so your body utilizes more calories that you consume as heat. So you just waste it as heat, which means calories that you consumed that aren't going to your belly. They're going to heat. So if we look here, we see we have sardines, we have olive oil. We don't know the source of the olive oil, which is a little bit disconcerting, but still pretty awesome. I wish they had the Wild Planet ones here still. They used to have those. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'm gonna grab these because that's a great deal. Okay, $9.99 for a 6-pack of really good quality ones in olive oil. Fun fact, in a study that was published in the Annals of Nutrition and Metabolism, they also found that vitamin D worked as a signaling device and had a direct effect on muscular strength. So over the age of 40, well, there's some clear defined evidence that demonstrates vitamin D is going to help your strength, which therefore is going to help your muscle mass, which therefore is going to help your metabolism, which is going to help your mitochondria, which is going to help you feel better and just be a better human. Ooh, now we have all the oils. Let's see what we've got here. Let's talk about this for a second. All right, first thing I see is this extra light tasting olive oil. Ideal for frying. Okay, first of all, that's wrong. Okay, you should never be frying high heat with olive oil. That's not good at all. And also, the lighter the bottle that it's in, that means it gets exposed to UV. Okay, UV light is going to denature and cause lipid peroxidation. It's going to basically cause what's called lipid peroxidation, which is the denaturing of the fat. That's why you typically want to get olive oil that is going to be in a dark bottle like this. So let's find out which one is going to be best for you. So one thing that I can say the mainstream has been pretty accurate on is the good benefits of olive oil. Good, healthy monounsaturated fat. Yes, we know heart healthy fat, we know all that. But when I look at it a little bit deeper as far as like signaling device and what it does within the body, if you are doing a low carb diet, olive oil converts into ketones very, very fast. Also, if you are someone that is looking at ways to elevate your core metabolism, what olive oil can do is it can make it so that you release what are called or activate more uncoupling proteins. It also is a signaling device that allows your body to activate particular fat utilization pathways. So in addition to just using calories as heat, it also encourages your body to use your fat as a fuel source via different pathways, such as cyclic adenosine monophosphate pathways, but also pathways, man, the name escapes me right now. I want to say cytochrome P450, but it's not that. It's a different pathway that allows fat to actually come into the cell. So it opens the gate, so to speak. Not saying you should chug a bunch of olive oil, but over the age of 40, olive oil is going to be the best option for you rather than say coconut oil as far as like drizzling over your veggies or cooking with in a light temperature, low temperature. This one's a little bit interesting because it says fresh garlic oil, but it really is just extra virgin olive oil with garlic flavoring. So I think that one's a little bit of a, no, not the best one. What is this one? Okay, $9.89 for organic extra virgin. See over here we have $13.69 for Tuscan extra virgin. It's not even organic. But here we have Kirkland Signature Organic Extra Virgin, dark bottle. Let's see, yep, this is exactly what we want to look for. We want to look for 2019, 2020 harvest, or 2020 harvest. That's exactly what we're looking for. I'm gonna grab this. This is a perfect over 40 olive oil find right here. Now, I made a comment that coconut oil wouldn't be as good as olive oil. Don't get me wrong, coconut oil is still a tremendous thing that you should be absolutely utilizing. Okay, people get a little bit turned away from it because they think saturated fat's not going to be good for them as someone that's over 40. Let me explain a little bit of why saturated fat is still very critical, if not even more important if it's the right kind of saturated fat. So the saturated fat that is in coconut oil is mainly coming from lauric acid. Okay, lauric acid is what is called a C12. It is a form of MCT. And it is partially saturated, but it's interesting how it works. Long story short, the saturated fats that you get out of coconut oil are good, clean saturated fats. And this particular coconut oil is cold pressed, which means that you're not putting it up to any heat. Okay, you're getting the oil all through a cold extraction pressing process. And then it's unrefined. So you're keeping all the good vitamins, you're keeping all the minerals, you're keeping everything that makes it good there. So what is it about saturated fat though? As you get older, you need saturated fat for what's called the myelination. Okay, the myelination of your nerves, the myelination of your brain, everything like that. Now what is that? On the outside of your nerve, you have a layer called the myelin sheath. And this myelin sheath is what the signal actually travels down. Okay, this myelin sheath, I shouldn't say it travels down, but it's insulated. It's like if you look at a car wire or if you look at an electrical cord, the myelin sheath is like the rubber coating that's on the outside of the electrical cord. Very important. It makes it so that the electricity isn't escaping, so you can actually send the right signal. Okay, so when it comes down to sending an electrical signal from your brain to your leg, for instance, to have good healthy nerve activity, you need good saturated fat content for that myelination. So don't be afraid of the saturated fat, be afraid of the hydrogenated and the trans fats. Those are not the good ones. Okay, we're okay to have good healthy saturated fat as long as we don't have oxidation. So what that means is if you're going to consume saturated fat, do what you can to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So that means saturated fat should always be coupled with good amounts of activity. Saturated fat should always be coupled with good amounts of vegetables. It's not the saturated fat themselves that is bad, it's when they are combined with sugars that are going to cause what is called glycation. Okay, glycation is just like caramelizing an onion. Okay, it causes proteins to bind and lock up. Okay, if you consume a bunch of saturated fat and a bunch of sugar, that sugar is essentially going to caramelize in a way, and that's where it can be detrimental. So don't get the bad idea with saturated fats. They're fine, and that coconut oil is a great find at Costco. This is also a great find if you're over the age of 40. Okay, this is pure unsweetened cacao powder. Now, the downside with cacao versus cocoa is cacao may not metabolize as well as, say, cocoa would. Cocoa is processed a little bit more, but cocoa, it brings out some of the flavonoids, it brings out some of the antioxidants. Believe it or not, the roasting process can help out a little bit. Cacao may cause some issues with some people as far as digestion is concerned, but this is a very good, 31 cents per ounce is a really good price for good quality cacao. You go to Whole Foods or something like that, you're gonna pay 40 bucks, I can almost guarantee it. So what's funny is all these health gurus out there will tell you that if you're over 40, you should be getting your antioxidants in by taking a vitamin or by eating XYZ fruits with a bunch of sugar and all this and that. Guys, I'm not anti-fruit, but there's a lot better way to get your antioxidants. You're gonna have more of a powerful antioxidant punch coming from this chocolate than you would out of fruits. So enjoy the chocolate. Okay? You mix this up with a little bit of coconut cream, with a little bit of heavy cream and a little bit of stevia. You can make yourself a delicious, almost chocolate pudding. Mix it up with some yogurt, some good quality yogurt that has some great probiotic effect, and you have a chocolate pudding. You put that with a little stevia, you've got a delicious dessert that gets you that powerful antioxidant and flavanol punch that you need to really reduce that reactive oxygen or oxygen species and ROS in your body. Which again, as we talk about getting older, as we talk about aging, the biggest issue we face is this reactive oxygen species, this consistent mitochondrial dysfunction. You're going to hear me say that a lot. Okay, it's when the body is inefficient at using energy, and as a byproduct, it wastes it and spits it out into the ecosystem of our body, much like just a dirty old 1974 Ford truck that doesn't run well and it's spitting black smoke everywhere. That's kind of like the motor inside your cells right now. So you need to clean it up with good antioxidants to make it run smooth. One of the quickest ways that we can mess up our motor, so to speak, is by using a bunch of sugar. So then you have these other options. You have things like Truvia, you have things like Splenda, you have things like Lakanto. Now the nice thing is they now have at Costco the golden monk fruit sweetener. They used to just have the regular one. This is great because you can use this as a raw cane sugar replacement or a brown sugar replacement. And look at this here. It's erythritol and monk fruit extract. They use erythritol to give it a more round flavor. Monk fruit is very, very expensive and you only need the tiniest amount. The bottle would be like that big if there was just straight monk fruit. It would be very hard to get an exact amount. This is a really good deal on that, especially when you factor in the other option is going to be packets with Truvia. Let's see what's in here. See? Stevia leaf, erythritol, and natural flavors. We don't need to have natural flavors. Okay, too much mystery going on there, not acceptable. We don't need it, okay? However, here we don't have natural flavors. We just have straight up erythritol and a good clean monk fruit in its golden form that can be used to replace brown sugar. Yogurt is great. Greek yogurt is even better because it works on a low carb diet. Now, it's easy to see this Faya Greek yogurt, which is good price, $5.99, 12.5 cents per ounce. But then when we look at this, check this out. Organic Greek yogurt from Green Mountain, $4.79, 15 cents per ounce, and you're getting organic. So 2.5 cents more per ounce and you're getting organic. Then we have organic Clover vanilla Greek yogurt, but that one has sugar added to it. Let me show you something a little bit interesting about Greek yogurt. The benefit with Greek yogurt isn't the fact that it's high in protein. I mean, that's great. Sure, we get a nice, delicious treat that we can have. It's perfect because of that. But it's really the cultures that we're after. Okay, in this particular case, the cultures they're using Thermophilus, they're using Bulgaricus, Acidophilus, Bifidus, and Paracasei. Those are the standard, wow, someone's having a bad day. Those are kind of the standard probiotics that you're going to find in yogurt. Now, what they use those to culture the yogurt and to give it that tangy flavor. Now, whenever you're using non-organic yogurt, you're going to lose some of that effect because a good portion of the milk sugars end up going to feed the bacteria so that it can culture. So this organic version is a very, very good one. So let's look at this. Okay, you see 7 grams of carbs, 6 grams of sugar. Wow, not kidding. Okay. But the 6 grams of sugar are just coming from the milk. Okay, it's not like there's added sugar in it. So this is a really good find and something I would recommend if you can't kick dairy and you're over 40. This is a great thing to use in place of sour cream and just a really good price. And it tastes delicious, I can tell you that. The egg whites are good, rich in protein, but there's no real vitamins and minerals in there. There's nothing there. It's just the albumin, but also it can trigger an inflammatory response in a lot of people. In fact, when I write diet plans for people, a lot of times I will suggest that they have eggs, but they actually ditch some of the white and give it to their dogs or something like that want the protein. And we take in more of the good, heart-healthy, good yolks, the biotin, the stuff that's good for your hair, your skin, your nails, and of course the choline, which is tremendous for your brain, which leads me to such a tremendous find that myself and Bobby over at Flav City have beaten down so much. We always talk about this, but check it out. 24 organic pasture raised. So not just organic and not just pasture raised. Organic pasture raised, which means they're on a pasture, they're not just cage free, certified organic feed, no hormones, no antibiotics, super clean for $7.49. $3.74 for a dozen. You don't beat that price. So I'm getting some of those because we definitely use a fair bit of eggs in my house. Between my dogs, my kids, myself, we all love eggs. And as someone over the age of 40, you really should be focusing on getting these kinds of fats in. I'm telling you, the vitamin A that you're getting out of it is so good for your eyes. It's so good for your liver. Bioavailable retinol A, exactly what we need to help promote healthy eyes so that we do not potentially suffer from macular degeneration. Anyhow, that's it for the eggs. Let's move along. I am so glad I found this. Okay, especially for ladies over 40, but also for guys, but really for ladies. Okay, they have these seaweed snacks, which are such a bargain. And why is this a killer snack for people over 40? Well, let me explain. First of all, that's a good price. $8.99 for that. But seaweed is one of the only sources of iodine that you can really get there now. Now, iodine is required for thyroid function. Okay, so iodine binds with tyrosine and creates the thyroid, or ultimately creates the thyroid hormone. The thyroid hormone is what is responsible for our metabolism. So you consume iodine, it allows your thyroid to produce the thyroid hormone. That thyroid hormone regulates how fast our metabolism goes. Okay, there's a process of T4 converting to T3. It's a fairly simple process, but too much for this video. There's a reason why we usually consume so much iodized salt. Why, if you look at the salt that's in your cabinet, it says iodized salt. It's because they add iodine to it because we're typically deficient in iodine because it's hard to get it. So seaweed is one of the best sources of iodine. So if you are potentially dealing with thyroid issues or you're concerned about your metabolism, consuming some seaweed and getting that iodine could be very, very beneficial, whether you're male or female. I say female a little bit more because women are typically a little bit more prone to hypothyroidism, especially over 40. So eating a pack of these seaweed snacks every other day or so can be a huge, huge help. They're also super rich in selenium, which is also good for the thyroid. Then we move along, we talk more about zinc too, right? Well, zinc helps thyroid connect to the actual cell. So we have thyroid doing its job and being created, but what about when it gets to where it's going? Well, that's where zinc comes in. So zinc, selenium, and iodine. Okay, we've got these trace minerals and primary minerals that are so critical for our metabolism and for our thyroid function. So that's why the fish, that's why the shrimp, that's why the sardines, that's why the vitamin D, you're seeing this common theme, right? Minerals and vitamin D are huge metabolic regulators for everyone, let alone people over the age of 40. Ladies and gentlemen over the age of 40, if you're going to do fruit, if you're into fruit, organic strawberries, organic raspberries, the way to go. Low glycemic, super mineral rich, super vitamin rich, and they're gonna be the lowest carb content of just about any fruit that you can find. So if you must have your fruit, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries because they have the antioxidants, and especially blueberries. Let's see if we can find some. Now, blueberries contain something called anthocyanins, which are super powerful for the brain. Anthocyanins can help your brain out because they help your body produce what is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is like a brain fertilizer. It helps grow new neural pathways. So as we get older, we need to do everything that we can to help support our nervous system, but also to help support our brain function. So everything I've talked about has been fat, cholesterol, vitamin D, things like that. Well, now let's talk antioxidants again. We already have the cocoa, which is going to be great, but the blueberries, if you're going to have a fruit, could be very powerful in helping support your brain. So anthocyanins, that's what you want out of blueberries. If you're going to splurge on fruit, you know what to have now. All right. Asparagus. Actually, just so happens we've got asparagus and broccoli right here next to each other. Organic broccoli. I don't know if you'll ever go through this big of a bag, but as you're over the age of 40, once again, this becomes extra important. Why? What's going on here? Okay, so over the age of 40, especially for men, we have to make sure we're metabolizing estrogen properly. And what I mean by that is when we have different kinds of estrogen. We have one particular estrogen that's called 1,7 hydroxyestradiol. Okay, this 1,7 estrogen is a very bad estrogen, and it's the kind that causes problems. And our liver needs to metabolize it and excrete it. We treat estrogen sometimes like a toxin. Okay, our livers process it and excrete out what we don't need. If we don't excrete it, we don't process it, it floats around and it causes negative feedback loops that can cause us to retain water, to feel moody, to be typical, unfortunate, high estrogen characteristics. Broccoli is rich in something called diindole methane or indole 3-carbinol, which sounds like a mouthful because it is, but basically what it does is it helps provide your liver with the function that it needs to process the 1,7 hydroxyestradiol, okay? That is very, very important. And very important overall for men and women, but especially for men if you are trying to keep high levels of testosterone and you don't want it combated by estrogen levels. And then asparagus, from a gut biome perspective, is just about the perfect thing that you can eat to support your gut. Okay, prebiotic fibers, okay, so you're getting all the fibers that your gut needs to actually grow and feed bacteria and provide what are called intermediary bacteria, and combine that with some probiotic effects of, say, yogurt. So having asparagus with dinner and a little bit of yogurt after dinner is just a perfect gut health combination for anybody, let alone over 40. Okay, if I have to choose between the organic ground beef and the bison, even though the bison is $8 a pound versus $5 a pound, I know that bison, first of all, this is very lean. 90% lean bison is super awesome. That's actually quite hard to find. So very lean, but it's naturally going to be leaner than beef because it's grass-fed. Grass-fed beef is naturally leaner. Now that confuses people because people think that leaner is not always better. Like, we want the good fats, but we want the fats that are high quality, but we don't want copious amounts of them. The lower the amount of fat in a grass-fed cut, it's going to be a better ratio of omega-3s. Now, I could go on and on about the omega-3 quality in land animals versus like sea animals, whole different world, fish versus land, but ground bison is going to have a much better omega-3 profile, which not only helps preserve muscle better, but it's good for your brain, good for your heart, and it's what we're overall after. So this bison is also going to be federally regulated a little bit more, which means the standards for quality are going to be higher. So if you can, spend a couple extra bucks and get the ground bison. If you're on a budget, that organic ground beef is pretty darn good too. So we'll recap when we get to the car. But you see that the main theme here was focusing on proper muscle preservation, proper hormone function with things like vitamin D, but also focusing on really important minerals like zinc, selenium, and also iodine to make sure we're taking care of the thyroid. So yes, a lot of the foods end up being the same, but at the same time, we really need to be putting forth a concerted effort to take care of our body and our mitochondria so that our cells function as good as they possibly can for as long as they possibly can. So just to recap what you really want to be paying attention to, you want to be paying attention to high levels of vitamin D. So things like sardines, things like good quality fish, things like, and preferably with the skin if you can, because it's going to give you those vitamin D levels. We also want to focus on high levels of vitamin A. So big emphasis on the fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A we're going to get out of our egg yolks. We're also going to get out of fish. Now, this may seem a little bit boring to eat fish and eggs and things like that, but you can make it fun. And you don't have to be eating that stuff every day. But if you can take care of your mitochondria, you can potentially take care of your metabolic health. A lot of the issues that we face as aging people is mitochondrial dysfunction. We touched on this during the video in case you missed it, but that mitochondrial dysfunction is where our body isn't manufacturing energy as well. Less efficiency equals all kinds of chain reactions down the line, whether it be your hair, your skin, your nails, or just your overall energy and your ability to sleep and your ability to function. So then we also focused on getting things that are higher in protein. As someone over 40, it is so important that you eat a little bit more protein than someone that's under 40. Things start to change, and evidence demonstrates that sarcopenia, which is the muscle wasting that occurs with age, we might think of sarcopenia as being something that only happens to people that are in their 70s and 80s. No, it happens as soon as we start reaching like 30, 35, and our testosterone levels change, our hormones change in general, we start wasting more muscle. We need to do whatever we can to keep that muscle on us. We also want to be focusing on our thyroid. So I focused on specific minerals like selenium, like zinc, like iodine, which is a trace mineral, and ways that we can get those in. Specific foods like Brazil nuts are going to be rich in selenium. I didn't see them there, but we also want things like almonds occasionally. They're going to have some zinc. We also want shellfish, which is going to have zinc. So we have things like shrimp, things like mussels even. They all have good amounts of zinc, which is so important for not just our thyroid function, but for our immune system as well. In a world where we're really focusing on our immune system, if we get the proper minerals in, we can give our body what it needs for those ZIP8 transporters to actually do their job with our immune system. The long and the short of it is taking care of the mitochondria, focusing on a few concentrated forms of foods that we wouldn't ordinarily pay attention to, and it can make a world of a difference to make you live a healthy, happier life. As always, I'll see you tomorrow.